90 Day Fiance is best known for its dramatic love stories, whirlwind romances, and the challenges of international relationships. However, beyond the drama and fairy tale weddings, some cast members have faced unimaginable heartbreak and loss. Over the years, several stars from the franchise have experienced devastating tragedies, from sudden accidents to life-altering personal losses. Below are the 10 most tragic deaths of 90 Day Fiancé cast members. Armando Rubio. Armando Rubio and Kenneth Niedermeyer became trailblazers in the world of reality television, making history as the first openly gay couple to feature in TLC's popular franchise 90 Day Fiancé. Their relationship not only captivated viewers, but also highlighted an inspiring story of love, resilience, and overcoming grief. However, before Armando found love with Kenneth, his life was marked by a devastating loss that shaped the man he became. Armando had been married for 6 years to a woman who, during their relationship, became pregnant with their child. However, their marriage began to unravel, leading to a difficult separation. As he navigated the complex emotions surrounding their divorce, Armando faced an even greater tragedy. His ex-wife, who was 7 months pregnant at the time, tragically lost her life in a car accident. In an emotional Instagram post, Armando shared the heart-wrenching details of the events that led up to the accident and how it impacted him forever. According to Armando, the final moments leading up to the accident occurred during the divorce proceedings when an argument erupted between him and his wife regarding finances. He explained, "I thought it would be best to leave the situation and return to my home." The disagreement had left both parties angry and upset. Armando, in an attempt to diffuse the tension, decided to leave. However, as he drove away from the heated confrontation, fate took an unexpected turn. Armando was struck from behind by another car while he was driving home. The sudden impact startled him, and before he could fully process what had happened, the vehicle hit him again. It was then that Armando realized the driver behind him was none other than his ex-wife. He was shocked and confused by the situation. "I was stunned when I realized it was her," Armando wrote in his post. "She was clearly angry, and I had no idea what to do." Armando's confusion turned to terror when he saw that his ex-wife had lost control of her vehicle. In that split second, the unthinkable occurred. Her car flipped, and she was fatally injured. Tragically, the unborn child she carried, who would have been Armando's child as well, also lost their life in the accident. The grief and devastation Armando experienced in the aftermath of this traumatic event were unimaginable. Not only did he lose the mother of his child, but he also lost his unborn baby, a pain that no parent should ever have to endure. Ellie Rose. Ellie Rose has a love story that many would describe as adventurous and romantic. She met Victor McLean on a picturesque beach while backpacking across South America, and their instant connection eventually led to her taking a leap of faith for love. But what many may not realize is that behind her vibrant personality and adventurous spirit lies a heartbreaking past, one that forever altered her outlook on love and life itself. Before she met Victor, Ellie had already found love once before, but fate had a cruel twist in store for her. She was blissfully married to Matt, the man she believed she would spend the rest of her life with. Their marriage was filled with happiness, and they had only been together for 11 months when tragedy struck in the most unexpected and devastating way. On the night of August 7th, 2004, Ellie had no reason to suspect that anything was wrong. She went to bed early, assuming her husband would soon join her. But when she woke up the next morning, she was confronted with a nightmarish reality. Matt was no longer alive. "I went to bed early that night, and when I woke up, I discovered him, and he was dead," Ellie recalled, her voice filled with the kind of grief that never truly fades. The shock of finding her husband lifeless beside her was something that no words could fully describe. The circumstances surrounding Matt's passing only added to Ellie's devastation. The coroner's report later revealed that Matt had accidentally overdosed on a prescription painkiller. He was just 36 years old. The news shattered Ellie, leaving her grappling not only with the pain of losing her partner, but also with the overwhelming questions that came with such an unexpected loss. She had gone to sleep as a happy wife and woken up to a world where the love of her life was gone forever. Ellie has since opened up about how Matt's death changed her completely. "It changed my life, forever," she admitted, reflecting on the profound impact of that tragic night. The pain was something she could never truly recover from, and it created a fear deep within her, one that made it difficult for her to ever fully open her heart again. The trauma of losing a loved one so suddenly made her hesitant to let someone new in, knowing that doing so meant risking that same unbearable pain once more. For years after Matt's passing, Ellie struggled to move forward. The thought of love, marriage, and starting over seemed impossible, as the wounds of her past remained fresh. She carried that grief with her, shaping the way she viewed relationships and her own emotional vulnerability. Every potential relationship she considered was clouded by the haunting memory of what had happened, and the fear of losing another loved one kept her from allowing herself to truly fall in love again. That all changed when she met Victor. What began as a spontaneous beachside romance slowly evolved into something deeper, something Ellie never thought she would experience again. Victor, with his warmth and charisma, managed to break down the walls she had built around her heart. Over time, he proved to her that while the pain of loss never truly disappears, it is possible to find happiness again. Despite the challenges they faced as a couple, including surviving a devastating hurricane and navigating cultural and personal differences, Victor represented a second chance at love for Ellie. He helped her believe that love was still worth fighting for, even after experiencing the worst kind of heartbreak. Hitch. Jason Hitch tragically passed away at the age of 45 following complications from COVID-19. His death was a shocking loss for those who knew him personally and for the viewers who had watched his journey unfold on television. The news of Jason's passing sent ripples of sadness through the 90-Day Fiance community and beyond, leaving many to reflect on his life and the impact he made during his time in the spotlight. According to his sister Shannon, Jason had not been vaccinated against COVID-19, which may have contributed to the severity of his illness. While he had no pre-existing medical conditions that could have otherwise complicated his health, the virus proved to be too much for him to overcome. Jason passed away on December 14th in a Florida ICU, surrounded by his family. His death marked a tragic end to a life that had so much more potential and promise. Jason Hitch had been a part of the 90-Day Fiance franchise, where viewers followed his relationship with his now ex-wife, Cassia Taraves. Their story was one of ups and downs, as the couple navigated cultural differences, relationship struggles, and the challenges of blending their lives together after meeting through an international dating platform. Despite their eventual divorce, Jason and Cassia's relationship had left a lasting impression on the audience, who had witnessed their journey unfold on television. The public saw the vulnerability of both individuals as they dealt with the complexities of life on reality TV. And while their marriage didn't last, the love and respect they shared during their time together was evident. In the wake of Jason's passing, Cassia Taraves shared a heartfelt and poignant tribute to her late ex-husband. She took to social media to express her grief, writing, "It's always sad when someone you spent part of your life with stops breathing. I guess one could never be prepared for that. I wasn't." Her words reflected the rawness of loss, especially when it comes to someone with whom one had shared important years of their life. Cassia admitted that upon hearing the news, she initially thought it was a joke. "Today, when I started receiving messages, I thought it was a joke. I'm shocked," she wrote. The disbelief that accompanies the sudden loss of someone close to us is something that many people can relate to. It's hard to grasp the reality of a person's absence when their presence has been a part of your life for so long. Despite the end of their romantic relationship, Cassia's tribute to Jason showed the depth of the connection they still shared and the respect and sorrow she felt at his untimely passing. "My condolences to his family and friends. Rest in peace, Jason," she added, acknowledging the grief felt by all who had known him. David Murphy. David Murphy, known for his appearance on 90 Day Fiance, Before the 90 Days, passed away at the age of 66 in his Las Vegas home on December 11, 2024. His family confirmed his passing through an emotional announcement on Instagram, revealing that David had been battling health issues for several years. While they did not disclose the exact cause of death, they shared that his passing was peaceful and that he was surrounded by love in his final days. David first captured audiences' attention when he appeared on Season 4 of Before the 90 Days, chronicling his long-distance romance with Lana, a woman from Ukraine he had been talking to online for 8 years. His storyline quickly became one of the most talked about in franchise history, as he spent thousands of dollars trying to meet Lana in person, only to face repeated disappointments. Many viewers were skeptical of their relationship, suspecting that Lana was not real, especially after she failed to show up on multiple occasions. However, David defied expectations when he finally met Lana in person, proving that she was indeed real. Their engagement, though short-lived, was a defining moment in the season and in David's life. His determination, persistence, and optimism, even in the face of doubt from friends, family, and fans, made him a memorable figure in 90 Day Fiance history. In their statement, David's family reflected on the impact his time on the show had on his life. His time on the show allowed him to connect with viewers, see the world, and share his experiences with his thousands of followers on Instagram, they wrote. Indeed, after his appearance on Before the 90 Days, David embraced his newfound fame, frequently engaging with fans online and sharing updates about his life. Whether he was traveling, enjoying retirement, or spending time with his beloved cat, Elmira, David continued to share pieces of his journey with those who had followed him on TV. Despite his quiet and private nature outside of the show, David was known for his kindness and unwavering belief in love. Even after his relationship with Lana ended, he remained hopeful about finding companionship. His unique love story, filled with both heartbreak and triumph, resonated with many, making him one of the most unforgettable stars in the 90 Day Fiance universe. David is survived by his 2 sisters and his cherished cat, Elmira, who he often spoke about as one of his greatest joys in life. While his passing marks the end of a chapter for fans of the show, his story lives on as a testament to perseverance, the search for love, and the connections that reality television can create. Olga Ivanova. Olga has been open about her incredibly difficult life experiences, yet there is one tragedy that stands out as perhaps the most heart-wrenching of all: the brutal and horrifying murder of her older sister, Alexandra. While many fans have been captivated by Olga's journey on the reality show, it is the tragedy that occurred when she was just 13 years old that truly shaped her life and left a lasting emotional scar. This gruesome event, involving her own parents, Sergei and Elena, is a nightmare that no one should ever have to endure. According to reports, Alexandra, who was only 25 at the time, began to experience severe psychological distress. She reportedly began hearing voices in her head, a condition that her parents tragically believed was a sign of demonic possession. In a terrifying sequence of events, Sergei and Elena became convinced that their daughter's mental health struggles were the result of her marrying the devil, and they took extreme and horrifying measures to save her. This delusion led them to attempt a gruesome exorcism, which they believed would rid Alexandra of the demonic forces they thought had taken control of her. During the exorcism, Alexandra was subjected to unimaginable torment. It is reported that her parents force-fed her 5 liters of holy water in an attempt to cleanse her, a cruel and dangerous act that further harmed her fragile state. But the horror did not stop there. As if this wasn't enough, Alexandra's parents then proceeded to disembowel her and, shockingly, trampled on her body while leaving her in a crucifix position, with the belief that her body would rise again after 3 days, similar to the resurrection of Christ. This twisted and barbaric act, rooted in a misguided and fatal understanding of spirituality and mental health, ended Alexandra's life in the most horrific way possible. The tragedy was made even worse by the fact that Olga, a young girl at the time, was in a separate room during the entire ordeal. She was hiding with her sister's 2 children, unaware of the horrors that were unfolding just beyond the door. The mental and emotional toll this would have taken on a child, witnessing not only the brutal loss of her sister, but also the collapse of her entire family, cannot be overstated. Olga's life, once filled with familial bonds and love, was irrevocably altered that Christmas night. After Alexandra's tragic death, Olga's life was thrown into turmoil. Her parents, having been found responsible for their daughter's death due to their violent actions, were sent to a mental asylum. This left Olga with no family left to turn to, and as a result, she was placed in an orphanage, effectively severing her connections to the people she had once loved. Losing both her sister and her parents in such a brutal way was a devastation that no one, especially a child, should ever have to endure. Though Olga's traumatic past was not openly discussed on 90 Day Fiance, she took to Instagram to share a rare and deeply personal message about her family's heartbreaking tragedy. In a post shared with her followers, Olga revealed the horrifying details of her sister's death and the aftermath. "I'm not going into details, but in 2011 my sister died because of my parents, and they went to the mental hospital," she wrote, confirming the shocking nature of the event. While she kept certain details private, it was clear that this loss had shaped her entire life. Despite the unimaginable cruelty and pain she endured, Olga's message was not filled with hatred or bitterness, but with a message of love and healing. She spoke about the emotional complexity of loving her parents, even after what they had done, and how she maintained contact with them despite the horrific nature of their actions. Olga stated, "I still love them a lot and keep in touch with them," showing that, even in the face of such brutality, she had found a way to keep the door to forgiveness open. This level of empathy and forgiveness is remarkable, especially considering the trauma she had suffered, and it speaks to Olga's strength and resilience as a person. Jeffrey Pascal. Jeffrey Pascal is undoubtedly one of the most controversial figures in the 90 Day Fiance franchise. His tumultuous past, which includes multiple arrests and jail stints, has caused many viewers to form strong opinions about him. Despite the controversies surrounding his personal life and criminal history, it's difficult not to feel sympathy for Jeffrey when considering the immense tragedy he faced prior to his appearance on the show, the devastating loss of his 13-month-old son, Kazem. This heart-wrenching event, which occurred only a few months before Jeffrey's debut on Before the 90 Days, marked one of the darkest periods of his life. The tragedy of Kazem's death is not just a private grief for Jeffrey, but one that has been publicly shared in a way that has deeply affected him. In the Season 4 premiere of Before the 90 Days, Jeffrey opened up about the unimaginable heartbreak he had experienced. He admitted that although he had faced significant hardships in his life, the loss of his young son was by far the worst thing he had ever gone through. "I've had a lot of heartbreak in my life, but by far the absolute worst is what happened to Kazem," Jeffrey explained, his words filled with sorrow and grief. For any parent, the loss of a child is an overwhelming and indescribable pain, and for Jeffrey, the trauma of losing his son so suddenly would remain a shadow over his life. The events leading up to Kazem's death were both tragic and sudden. Jeffrey recalled how his son, who was only a year and a month old, had a seizure at the family home. As a father, witnessing such a frightening and unexpected event must have been an intense moment of panic. In an attempt to save his son, Jeffrey rushed Kazem to the hospital, hoping that medical intervention could prevent further harm. At the hospital, doctors made the difficult decision to place Kazem in a medically induced coma in order to give him the best chance of recovery. However, despite the doctors' efforts, Kazem's condition did not improve, and the worst outcome was realized when it became clear that the toddler would not recover. After consulting with medical professionals, Jeffrey and his ex-wife were faced with the agonizing decision to take Kazem off life support. This painful moment of finality marked the end of Kazem's life, leaving Jeffrey and his ex-wife to grapple with the devastating reality of their loss. As if the grief of losing his son wasn't enough, Jeffrey would later be forced to confront a deeply hurtful and baseless rumor that emerged in the aftermath of Kazem's death. In May 2020, Jeffrey took to social media to share his side of the story in a video titled "Breaking My Silence," in response to the accusations circulating on the internet that he was somehow responsible for his son's death. These rumors, which claimed that Jeffrey had killed Kazem, were both absurd and deeply painful for him to endure, especially considering the actual cause of his son's death was a tragic and natural medical emergency. In the video, Jeffrey explained that these allegations were the most ridiculous and hurtful experience of his life, second only to the actual pain of losing Kazem. To defend his honor and protect his family's reputation, Jeffrey shared an array of documents that included medical records, social worker files, and other materials that linked to his son's passing. These documents served as a form of proof that Kazem's death was not the result of foul play, but rather an unfortunate and tragic medical incident that no one could have foreseen or prevented. The fact that these accusations had even emerged was a bitter blow to Jeffrey, especially considering the grief and loss he was already struggling to process. The need to prove his innocence in such a deeply personal matter only added to the immense emotional burden he was carrying. Adriel Spring Annie and Robert Springs had a moment of immense joy in September when they welcomed their son, Adriel. Their fans, who had followed their journey over the years, were thrilled to see the couple expand their family. The birth of their son seemed like a beautiful new chapter for them, filled with hope and promise for the future. However, just 7 months later, their world was turned upside down, and their story took a heartbreaking and tragic turn. On April 21st, Annie shared the devastating news with the world. Her son, Adriel, had passed away. In a deeply emotional and gut-wrenching Instagram post, she wrote, "Today is one of the worst days of my life. My son Adriel Spring died. I'm devastated, and my family life is so hard and difficult." The words, so raw and filled with grief, struck a chord with everyone who had been following the couple's story. Fans who had been elated for Annie and Robert just months before were now mourning alongside them, heartbroken for the loss of their beloved son. Annie's words carried the heavy weight of a mother's heartbreak, and she continued to share her pain with her followers. "I never thought I would lose my son," she wrote. "He was a fighter. His heart couldn't take it. My heart is broken. It's a big pain, so difficult." Those who have experienced the unimaginable pain of losing a child can understand the depth of her sorrow. To see a life cut short, especially that of an infant who had barely begun to live, is a tragedy that no parent should ever have to face. Annie's grief was palpable in her words, and it was clear that she was struggling to come to terms with the loss of a child who had fought so hard for his life. Despite the deep sorrow, Annie took to social media to share her vulnerability with her fans, and in doing so, she revealed a strength that few could have imagined. She wasn't just grieving the loss of a child, she was also trying to navigate the complexity of motherhood in the face of immense pain. In the same post, she acknowledged the overwhelming sadness, but also spoke about her family and the role that her daughter, Brenda Alia, has played in helping her through this difficult time. Brenda, who will turn 2 in July, has become a source of comfort and strength for Annie, offering her a sense of purpose even amidst the darkness. Robert, too, was clearly devastated by the loss of his son, but he also spoke about the importance of his 6 other children in helping him through the heartache. As a father, Robert found solace in the love and encouragement of his children, who reminded him to keep pushing forward despite the overwhelming pain. Losing a child is something no parent should ever have to experience, and it's impossible to truly understand the depth of that grief unless you've lived through it. But Robert's ability to lean on his family for support shows just how vital these connections are during times of immense hardship. Michael Silva Darcy and Stacy Silva are known for their dynamic personalities, business ventures, and close relationship. However, beneath the glitz and glamour of their public lives lies a deep, shared sorrow, one that has shaped them into the strong and compassionate individuals they are today. In 1998, the twins endured an unimaginable loss, the death of their only other sibling, their brother, Michael Silva. His passing at a young age, due to a rare and aggressive form of cancer, had a profound impact on their lives and became a defining moment in their personal histories. Michael Silva was just a young man in his prime, with a bright future ahead of him. At the time of his death, he was a member of the New Haven Police Academy in Connecticut, a profession that reflected his commitment to service and his desire to make a difference in the world. Michael was also engaged to be married, and his life seemed full of promise. Tragically, his battle with Ewing sarcoma, a rare and aggressive form of bone cancer, cut his life short. Michael's illness and death came as a shock to his family, leaving Darcy and Stacy, who were still young women at the time, devastated by the loss of their brother. Ewing sarcoma is a rare form of cancer that primarily affects children and young adults, often starting in the bones or the soft tissues around the bones. The disease is aggressive, and its prognosis is often poor, particularly when diagnosed at an advanced stage. Michael's death at such a young age was a cruel and painful blow to the Silva family, and it left Darcy and Stacy grappling with grief in ways that no one should have to. Losing a sibling is an excruciating experience, and for the twins, losing Michael meant losing not only a brother, but also a part of their childhood and shared family memories. In honor of Michael's memory and in an effort to keep his legacy alive, Darcy and Stacy channeled their grief into something meaningful. They created the House of 11 fashion brand. The name of the brand holds significant personal meaning for the twins. Michael was born on May 11th, and tragically, he passed away on July 11th, making the number 11 deeply symbolic for the sisters. It was a way for them to connect their personal loss to their professional pursuits, creating something positive and lasting in memory of their brother. House of 11 is more than just a fashion label for Darcy and Stacy. It represents a testament to their brother's life, a way to celebrate his memory and honor the impact he had on their lives. The brand embodies the strength and resilience that the twins have developed through their shared experience of grief, as well as their dedication to their brother's memory. By pouring their hearts into this business, they've created something that reflects their love for Michael and their determination to carry forward his legacy in a way that impacts others. In addition to their success with House of 11, Darcy and Stacy have found ways to give back to the cause that affected their family so deeply. They donate a significant portion of the brand's profits to the Michael John Silva II Cancer Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to raising awareness and funding for cancer research, particularly for rare forms like Ewing sarcoma. This foundation was created to honor Michael and to help prevent others from suffering the way their family did. By supporting this cause, the twins have used their platform to help make a difference in the lives of those affected by cancer, continuing to honor their brother's memory with every contribution. Kim Menzies. Kim Menzies made her debut in 90 Day Fiance. Before the 90 Days Season 5 as the new love interest of Usman Umar, also known as Soulja Boy. Hailing from San Diego, Kim worked as a restaurant manager while also caring for her mother, Sally, whom she considered her closest companion. Sally struggled with rheumatoid arthritis in her hips, which significantly affected her mobility. While the season was still airing, Kim shared the heartbreaking news that her mother had passed away in January 2022. She expressed her deep sorrow in an emotional Instagram post, stating that she would miss her mother for the rest of her life. To honor Sally's memory, Kim got a special tattoo in December 2022. The design featured a red balloon with the word "Mommy" elegantly written in cursive, replacing the balloon's string. This heartfelt tribute symbolized the deep love and connection she shared with her mother. Although Kim and Usman eventually went their separate ways, he remained supportive as she navigated the grief of losing her mother. Despite the passage of time, Kim continues to cherish her mother's memory and feels her absence every day. Brutal and horrifying murder, Elmira Sukaj. Elmira Sukaj, the sister of Florian Sukaj, who is married to Stacy Silva, passed away in 2021 after a courageous fight against cancer. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19 restrictions, Florian was unable to be by her side during her illness, making the loss even more difficult for the family. What do you think about the tragic deaths of the members of 90 Day Fiancé? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.